So I'm Jutta Buschbom. I'm an independent scientist with my own company, Statistical Genetics, from northern Germany. And I'm also a spinach member. So I'm the co-chair of the Biodiversity Crisis Response Committee. And I'm also the representative of spinach to the UN Convention for Biological Diversity. I'm very interested in bringing collections-based data into operation, and specifically for global biodiversity conservation. So there's currently intensely negotiated is a post-2020 global biodiversity framework by the UN Convention on Biological Diversity. It's a framework that will shape global biodiversity conservation for the next 30 years. And collections have very rich data that are very important to inform global biodiversity monitoring. And here I would like to contribute, and I'm involved in building the next generation of biodiversity infrastructures, digital extended specimen concepts. So the next generation of biodiversity infrastructures will be globally integrated and should be extensible. So data from all continents should be integrated in this data infrastructure. And here questions arise about global justice, fairness of data sharing, and equity, like access to this data. And so there are very important questions to answer in building this infrastructure about how we share data. Can we share all data openly? Which data has to be protected or can only be shared in certain ways or with certain communities? So I'm very much interested in global biodiversity conservation, and I think that natural science collections have very important data to inform global conservation, and I find it important that across continents we work together and we share our data and integrate our data. Key word here is to build an open knowledge system where data providers provide their data freely and openly and in ways that they are accessible, interoperable, findable and reusable. So it's called FAIR. On the other hand, especially coming from the CBD context, so the Convention on Biological Diversity aspect, it is also clear that not all data can be shared openly as easily as one might want. So there's sensitive data. For example, in Europe we have the GDPR, so privacy rules. There are also data on species, on populations which are endangered, and so their data shouldn't be publicly available to protect them. And there's also a lot of information about knowledge about biodiversity. One needs to take special consideration of how to share this local knowledge, which is often provided by communities which are disadvantaged, especially coming from the global south. So they're indigenous peoples and local communities which are a rich resource of traditional knowledge about plants, animals, their use, their sustainable use. And here I find it really important to find ways to protect their knowledge. And so so it is important to share the information by indigenous peoples and local communities, and in general people around the world in ways that takes into account their rights and gives them attribution and visibility and justice to their contribution. So it's a matter of benefit sharing. And here, this is actually an area that is currently under intense development and discussion of how we can do this. And I find this very exciting to find ways to really make this work, and so that people are willing to share their data because they get benefits back. And we as collections community are in the position to actually make this work and implement this and have this system work. So here I see an important contribution by Spinach, so the Society for the Preservation of Natural History Collections.